Well, is the caravan industry in crisis? I tell you what, if you're across social media and the mainstream media at the moment, there's a bit of chatter about caravan warranties and there's some interesting things to discuss.
Yeah, so what we're going to do in this video is go through our top 7 things that we've noticed from traveling, talking to people and reading the consumer law that most people don't know about, to help you with any warranty claims, to know your rights and responsibilities when it comes to traveling in a caravan or camper trailer in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are up the Cape at the moment. We do have a heap of Cape York videos coming out soon. They will be coming up in the next few weeks. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see that. We found some awesome spots already and we're only just getting started. I reckon we found a few spots that we've got in our caravan too that you may never have heard of, and you've probably never seen anyone take a caravan to. So stick around for that in the coming weeks. All right, let's dive into it.
All right, let's dive in.
We're not legal experts, we're just sharing what we've read and interpreted and how we understand it, and shared some stories of what we've seen and heard along the way. If you disagree with anything, you think we get anything wrong, please leave us a comment. We really want to make this a discussion piece, and if you want to learn more about it, go and read those comments. You guys out there are a wealth of information as well, and we know you've all got your own experience and your own stories to share. Put them all down there in the comments and let everyone have a bit of a read of that, and let's make this a good discussion piece. We may do a follow-up video to this down the track, depending on how things go. But look, I think the big thing overall that we want to make sure people understand is your rights and your responsibilities under Australian consumer law and warranty, and making sure, number one, that the product you're buying is suitable for what you want to go and do with it.
That's your responsibility.
And that make sure that manufacturer or dealer, whoever it is you're buying it from, understands what you're going to go and do with it. And make sure you're protected is the number one thing. The last thing you want to be doing is getting partway through your trip or partway through your travels, realizing that you've got a misunderstanding with the dealer about what you are or aren't covered for warranty by. So one of the main documents we're going to be referencing in this video is this, which is the ACCC's new Caravan Retailing publication that they put out a few years ago now, about 3 years ago. It was released almost exactly. It was the 21st of July 2022, and this is following a survey they did of a number of different caravan owners and manufacturers, and looking at whether the caravan industry was abiding by existing consumer law. Now, a lot of that's still extremely relevant today. Some of it's less relevant because, remembering back what life was like in 2022, we were coming out the back of COVID, the industry was booming, and a lot of the issues raised in the document are related to timeliness of deliveries and things like that, which I don't think are as big as an issue these days, but it may still be relevant to you. So I'm going to leave that in the description of the video below. We're going to reference a lot of it, but we can't go through the whole thing. It would make a very long, boring video, but I do recommend that all of you go and read that and familiarise yourself with the way that the ACCC views Australian consumer law and as it relates to the caravan industry. But then the other thing you're going to have, obviously, is warranty. So let's dive into our top points and the top things that we think everyone needs to be aware of when it comes to caravan warranties and Australian consumer law. But it also relates to, as we said, other things, because we've had issues with four-wheel drive accessory warranties. It's vehicle warranties. A lot of people have similar problems. The same law applies to all of those industries. So this is highly relevant if you've had any issues with any of those as well.
Perfect. Just as we start, a blower starts.
Oh yeah, there'll be plenty of noise. We're in a campground, so there'll be plenty of noise. But obviously, the caravan industry's boomed in the last few years.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people saying that the caravan industry's in crisis. There's far too many warranty issues, and it's just getting. It's almost, people I think are feeling like it's getting worse. And we definitely think it's not getting better, or not significantly better. There's a lot of warranty issues and a lot of people having issues out there. We're just not sure. It's hard to know whether it's proportionate to the amount of the increase in sales.
Exactly. So caravan sales have pretty much tripled over the last few years. So warranty issues there as a percentage base would have also tripled.
You would assume,
on a numbers game,
or potentially more so, because a lot of those manufacturers are now stretched. They're really trying to push out bigger numbers, and that's when systems fall down and issues start to occur. So look, that's probably a big part of it. And I think, look, there's definitely, what we want to be careful of here, I think, is that the industry as a whole, while it may have issues, it's not across every single manufacturer, and it's not across the industry as a whole. There are some out there doing the right thing, there's some out there doing the wrong thing, and there's a whole range of ones in the middle.
Anything that goes wrong is always going to get more attention on social media than the people that are just having a good time and everything's working.
That's right.
It's clickbait. It's the way it works. If something breaks, it's more interesting than just traveling and not doing it. So you're going to see more of it, in your algorithms and things like that because people engage with it more?
Yeah, look, I think there's a small number of people having large issues, there's a large number of people having small issues, and there's unfortunately a small number of people having no issues or very few issues. Now, something that we have a bit of a problem with is in the caravanning community, among owners in particular, is this idea that every caravan will have problems, every new caravan will have problems. And while that's probably true, I don't know that that's the standard we should be accepting. I think we're paying big money for these vans. I think they're a huge investment for everyone that buys one, whether you're buying an entry-level caravan or a top-level caravan. No matter which end of the market you're at, there is still a very big investment, and for most people require significant budgeting to make it happen. And I don't think we should be accepting that every caravan is going to have problems no matter what. You don't go and buy a Land Cruiser.
Or a car.
Or any sort of car.
And think, every car's going to have problems.
Every new car's going to have problems. Sure, some do, and again, some minor, some major, but I don't think we accept in that industry as an example. And again, a vehicle's made up of a significant number of different components. We go and drive it on the same roads we take our caravans on, all of that, and we don't accept that screws will fall out, that things will happen, all these sorts of problems that people are having, or that the roof will leak, as an example. It's not something that we just accept is it's just part and parcel of it.
Of getting a new van,
Yeah, so I think we should, as consumers, it's reasonable for us to have a high level of expectation as far as the quality of the build that we're getting, and I think that's more than reasonable.
Especially to match the price point that we're
absolutely
paying.
Like we said, it's a big investment.
Yeah.
So look, something we want to get really clear in this is that there's warranty that's provided by a dealer or a manufacturer when you go and buy a new caravan, camper, trailer, vehicle, whatever it is. And then there's Australian consumer law that's defined by the government as far as that's your minimum standard of cover as far as your rights and responsibilities as a consumer and their rights and responsibilities as someone who sold it to you. So there's a big difference between the two, as in that one's provided by it's a private thing that's provided by the manufacturer, the other one is by the government.
Yeah.
But no matter what the manufacturer says in their warranty, you will always be covered by consumer law. They can't write out anything that's in consumer law, and if they leave gaps in their warranty, the gaps will be filled by consumer law. So the consumer law is always going to be your minimum standard of what is going to be provided as far as coverage for you if things go wrong. But in our opinion, I would rather be covered by a warranty. I would rather know from the start that what I want to go and do with that caravan and what I want to go and do with that product is covered under the warranty. And the reason for that is, one, I think it makes it a lot easier when problems do occur.
Yeah.
Ringing the manufacturer saying, here's your warranty, here's what's happened, it's very clearly covered, let's go, rather than having to quote consumer law or say these are my rights and as a consumer and these are my consumer rights. I just think it's a messier process. And the other thing is, if it's written in their warranty, it's giving me a pretty good idea that they're also expecting me to go and do the things that I'm going to be doing with the caravan and that they're going to cover it for that. Because if we're just relying on consumer law and that they implied or suggested in their marketing or in their sales pitch that it was suitable to do what we were going to do, I think it gets a bit messier, and you want to make sure you've got really good documentation to prove that.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's in a warranty document, it's just quick and easy and simple. Our number one bit of advice through all of this, and where I think we see the most problems occurring or arising, is off the back of not ensuring that the product you're buying is suitable for your intended use or your use case for that. We see a bit of people buying products that we don't believe are suitable for what they're going to go and do with them. They then have problems, and then they feel that it's the manufacturer's responsibility to fix it under warranty. I think by the same token, manufacturers and dealers need to be very careful about the way they're marketing and presenting their products to make sure that they're marketing them and representing them to people, to the right people for the right case. And I think a big one to know here is in that document from the ACCC that I'll reference, and it will be in the description below. They basically say that if you go and during the sales process tell the salesperson, whoever you're dealing with, what you want to go and do with the caravan, if they don't tell you that it's not suitable for that, you can assume that it is and that it's also warranted for it. A little bit tricky if that's a verbal conversation to prove that down the line. So our big advice there would be,
get it in writing, email.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow up verbal conversations, whether they're on the phone or in person, follow them up with an email. Great to chat today. Here's my understanding of the conversation. It could be as simple as, great to chat today and meet you. We're really excited to buy this caravan. We can't wait to take it on our trip, including Cape York and the Gibb River Road, whatever it might be that you intend to do with it. Or if that's not what you intend to do, can't wait to take it, you know, around and visit our favorite caravan parks. Make sure that that salesperson is very clearly understands what you're going to do with the product and what you're expecting from it, and give them an opportunity. Hopefully the good ones should say, look, I don't think this product's suitable for you, or you may want to consider some upgrades or changes to what you're looking at to make it suitable for what you're doing.
Yeah, which we think is incredibly interesting that is the case, that they have to tell you that it's not.
Yes.
Otherwise it's assumed that it is.
Well, you're telling them what you want to use it for.
Yes, they have.
If they don't say anything and just go, yeah, have fun with that, I think it's going to fall apart on you. If that's what they're thinking in the back of their mind, that's not the way it works. If you've been very clear with what you want to go and do with it, and it's up to them to tell you whether or not the product's suitable, not for you to figure that out. And that brings us to on-road. One of our favourite things in the caravan industry, on-road, semi-off-road and off-road. Now, we obviously understand what an on-road caravan can do, and most people would.
Yeah.
We also understand what an off-road caravan can do, and most people would within reason, although I think some people think it's probably a little bit more extreme than what I think.
The huge grey area in the middle
Yeah.
is what is semi-off-road.
The old semi-off-road.
There is no standard definition of what a semi-off-road caravan is and can do.
And
the best definition I have ever heard is it's 2 wheels on the road and 2 wheels off the road. That's semi-off-road.
Yeah, so look, you need to make sure that you're understanding, if you're looking at a semi-off-road product or a product that's described as semi-off-road, which I guess the equivalent in the vehicle industry, to keep using that analogy, it'd be like your SUVs, like your RAV4s, or I'll stick with Toyota because I'm very familiar with their lineup, but yeah, your Klugers, RAV4s, maybe even a Fortuner, things like that. But then your off-road is obviously your Land Cruisers, and your on-road is your Corollas, essentially, or your Camrys. Just to give that analogy. But be very careful to make sure that what you're understanding of what a semi-off-road can and can't do, and what the manufacturer you're buying from, and you'll find different manufacturers and different dealers have a different understanding or different description of what their semi-off-road product can or can't do, or what it's suitable for and what it's not.
But also what it's warranted for and what it's not.
That's right. So make sure that, don't assume that because one manufacturer's told you their semi-off-road caravan can do all this, that the next manufacturer's got the same idea. Make sure that's very clear and laid out before you start.
Minor and major flaws.
Yeah, so in this ACCC document or publication that we're referencing, they discuss minor flaws and major flaws. Now, the whole thing's a little bit ambiguous. There's not exactly
which is tricky.
Clear definitions of these, but essentially a major flaw is you wouldn't have bought the product if you'd known that that flaw existed, and being aware that a number of minor flaws can add up to a major flaw, or a significant number. It also, because it's a habitable space compared to say a vehicle or something, or a full drive accessory or something like that, because a caravan's a habitable space, a relatively minor flaw can make it a major flaw. For example, if your roof's leaking and it means that you can't sleep in your caravan, it may be deemed to be a major flaw because you can't use it. Like, essentially you can't use it for what it's intended for, and you can't use it as shelter. And so that one makes it a little bit more complicated again. But essentially there's a big difference between what you're protected for under, or what the process is, depending on whether you've got a minor flaw or a major flaw. Now, a minor flaw is going to be things like
Sirocco fans break.
Yeah, drawers falling out, or a cupboard door breaking.
Just trying to think of things.
Yeah, any of those little bit, like we've had a window blind come off, things like that. They're minor flaws, right? A major flaw is going to be things like structural damage, chassis cracking, which we hear a bit of, significant roof leaks or water leaks. Things like that are going to be considered a major flaw. Now, if it's a minor flaw, the manufacturer obviously has a responsibility to repair that and fix it. But when it gets to major flaw, you as the consumer actually have the option to choose whether you want a repair, a replacement, or a refund of that product.
And it is your choice, not the manufacturer's choice.
And the other
under
thing,
ACCC law.
That's right.
So that is a huge one.
Only when it's a major flaw, though.
Yeah.
So if you go to them and say, hey, look, I've got all these problems. I think under consumer law, constitutes a major issue. I just want my money back, if that's what you choose to do, or I just go and build me a new one. This one's no good. They actually have to do that under consumer law, depending on what your choice is. Now, I would be surprised anyone would want a replacement. I would.
If you've had a major flaw with a manufacturer, it's unlikely that you're going to want to buy from the same manufacturer.
So most people are either going to be deciding to get a refund or get it repaired, depending on your situation. Because the tricky thing with a refund is then you've got to obviously replace it. If you live in it like us, that's going to get complicated, like a lot of people are living in them now. But that's your choice anyway. And I think the other big thing to think about when you are looking at these flaws is that it goes beyond the term of the manufacturer's warranty. A lot of warranties out there are 1 or 2 years. The ACCC views caravans as significant purchase like we do, and they say several years is there. They don't give a number, but they say several years, which to me is more than 2. And I think particularly against a major flaw, even 3, 4, 5 years down the track, and even if you're not the first owner, if you buy a second-hand van, there are still some protections that you have under the Australian consumer law. So make sure you look into those, because it may be that you're still covered even if it's a second-hand van. But yeah, and you are likely to be covered outside of the warranty period. We know people that have successfully had a refund on their caravan that was 3, 4 years old, that they'd had major significant issues with, and multiple in their situation, multiple major failures, and were able to get their money back years after the manufacturer's warranty had expired.
Yeah. And to be honest, that's where this whole warranty document deep dive into the ACCC law started, because we were camped up with them and we were like, that doesn't sound right. No, that's definitely not right. And then we went through the document and they were like, oh, ooh. Well, and that then sparked what they were actually entitled to.
That's right. And it actually brings me on to our next point, which is actually where I first started to dive into all this consumer law stuff. Is I'd heard this idea that anything that a dealer or a manufacturer fitted to the caravan at delivery was warranted by the dealer or the manufacturer. I say or manufacturer because it's warranted by the dealer, whoever you buy it from. Now, for some people, for some brands, you're going to be buying directly from the manufacturer. Some go through a dealer network, but it's whoever you actually handed your money to, essentially. Whoever sent you the invoice for the payment, that is who is responsible for the warranty, and not just for the caravan, but everything fitted to it at delivery.
At point of delivery,
Whether you chose it, they chose it, it doesn't matter. Same as a vehicle. Again, going back to that example, if I go to a dealer, order a Land Cruiser with an ARB bull bar and a safari snorkel and wheels and tyres and everything to be fitted when I take delivery, all of those accessories are warranted by that dealer, not by ARB or whoever it is. And in the same way, if my Land Cruiser's radio dies, I can guarantee you Toyota didn't make that radio. Someone else makes the radio for them. It might have Toyota branding on it, but then they install it in the vehicle. If I ring Toyota and say, hey, my radio's died, they don't say, hey, yeah, sorry, Samsung makes that. You're going to have to go and talk to them and get them to sort it out. That's not our problem. That's their warranty that covers that, not ours. No, that's not how it works. It's part of the vehicle's warranty. It's exactly the same for caravans. So, for example, using the Sirocco fan example again, if we have a Sirocco fan die, we ring Titanium warranty. We don't ring Sirocco. And in fact, the caravan manufacturer, this is where it gets really spicy.
Because this is the bit that often, when we're talking to other travellers, they're like, what?
Well, we hear a lot of people getting the runaround.
Yeah.
And it's actually could be deemed unlawful or misleading under consumer law to tell a consumer that the component in their caravan is covered by someone else's warranty. So if your fridge dies, for example, you've got, I don't know, a Dometic fridge in your caravan, and you ring your caravan dealer, whoever you bought the van from, and they say, that's Dometic's warranty, not ours, you need to contact them. They are already in breach of consumer law, as I understand it, and read it in this document, make your own interpretation, but that's how I understand it. But that aside, it definitely isn't the way that process should be handled. That manufacturer needs to go to whoever they bought the fridge from and sort that out on your behalf. They may ask you to voluntarily do that. I think that's okay. They may say, hey, look, to expedite the process or to remove us as the middleman, we'll introduce you to the person you need to talk to at Dometic, using that example again. We'll send an email, CC you in, or we'll get them to ring you. We'll get the process started for you, but then it's easier if you guys just talk to each other, which we do agree and we've done before.
Absolutely, because, if you're trying to work out where you are, where their nearest warranty is, just the logistics of it, especially when you're already on the road.
It can be easier just to cut it out. Yeah.
But so we do appreciate that, but
But if you don't want to
It's
do
an
that,
option.
or if you then speak to Domenic and you're not happy with their response, go back to your manufacturer. Say, hey, look, I'm not happy with how they're handling it. You guys need to sort this out. This is how I want it sorted out. And again, make sure you get as much of that in writing as possible. Any verbal conversations, follow them up with email, because the more documentation and evidence you've got, photos, everything, the easier every process, if it gets further, is going to be.
Yeah.
So that's a really big one. I think it's probably the one that we hear most of, apart from manufacturers trying to say that you're not covered for where you've been or what you've done.
Yes.
The next big one is probably this, is sorry, that's not our warranty, that's your warranty. And like I said, this includes if you've chosen things. So if you've chosen an upgrade, I'm trying to think of an example.
Our Korean bench tops.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
standard
they're an
bench top. Standard bench top in these isn't a Korean stone bench top. We've optioned that, but they've fitted it. That means they have to warrant it as well. Okay, so when it all does go wrong, when I guess you have issues, obviously first point of contact is, like we said, whoever you bought the Caravan from. Next is going to be, if you're not happy with that response, I guess the next thing I'd be doing is quoting consumer law, and we know a number of people who've done this, especially after having discussions with us, where they've told us, oh, but the dealer said this. Well, that's not actually true. Here's the consumer law that protects you against that, or that disagrees with what they're telling you. Maybe send them this little quote in an email and say, hey guys, don't know if you're aware of this, but this is how we're protected. That may get things to happen, and as we've seen with a number of people that we've helped through this process, it has done the trick.
And with stuff with our car.
And stuff with our car, I had to do that as well, and
Yeah,
that was related to the marketing, the way things were written on their own website and things like that. I guess if that doesn't go anywhere, your next options, you can contact the ACCC themselves, or they also recommend contacting the Fair Trading Department in your relevant state or territory, and that's the state or territory where you bought it from. So if you live in Queensland but you bought it in Victoria, it's the Victorian Fair Trading you need to contact, because that's who's deemed to be responsible or oversees that area. Get in contact with them, and I can guarantee you the first thing that they're going to tell you is, show us all the documentation and show us that you've given the dealer or whoever you bought the van from the opportunity to rectify it. So again, this is where it needs to be in writing as much as possible, and show the process. If they've repaired it but not done it to your satisfaction, whatever it might be. And then your options at that point are, unfortunately, either to take them to court or take them to tribunal. Unfortunately, small claims tribunal, I think it's 100 grand is the limit. So for most caravans, you're going to be over that limit, which means you're going to need legal representation, and they are allowed legal representation, and it's going to get messy quickly. So obviously you would be trying to exhaust every other avenue up to that point.
And it's just emotional. Like,
it's
just
sad what
hard,
happens to some people.
and it's really tough. And yeah, don't underestimate how difficult that process is, especially when it's your dream that you've saved up for, and it's also your home at the same time. So yeah.
Something I forgot to mention earlier as well that's very, very interesting is that if you phone your caravan dealer, whoever it is, and say you've got a warranty issue, or you believe you've got a warranty issue, they can't deny that warranty claim without, quote unquote, a thorough inspection of the issue. So if you're in Broome and you ring your dealer who's in Melbourne and you say, look, I've got this issue with my caravan, if they say, oh, that's not covered by warranty, I think they're in breach of the consumer law, as I understand it. They have to do a thorough inspection, not necessarily themselves, but they have to say, take it to a repair, get them to have a look at it, and we'll assess it and decide whether it's going to be covered by warranty in full or in part. The other thing is, if something is warranty, it's not just the parts, it's the labour as well. The whole thing, everything, every cost associated with it, and subsequent costs. So make sure you look into that as well. But that's a big one as well, is making sure, because again, we hear a lot of people have been told, oh, I rang them and said I broke something, but they said, oh, it's not covered by warranty because of reason X, Y, or Z. They can't do that. There's no way they can do a thorough inspection remotely. I guess the last thing is, how do you know that how they're going to handle warranties?
How do you know?
It's kind of like getting insurance. You just got to ask around and talk. You can look at every insurance company, and you just don't know how they're going to handle a claim until the time comes. It's kind of similar with warranty. But look, get in Facebook owners groups, get in the Facebook travelling groups. Just remember, everyone's got bias. We've got bias. Everyone's got bias, their own
Everyone
bias.
purchased their setup thinking that they had the best value or the best product for their budget.
And the other thing is,
that's their bias.
And you've just got, like, any reviews, like Google reviews are good as well, but like any reviews, you've got to sort of figure out how common issues are. But I think what's most important is how you're looked after. So ask other owners and stuff, how you've been looked after. But just remember, there's two sides to every story too.
Absolutely.
There's some stuff that we see that we think, I wonder what the other side of that story is, because it just doesn't seem reasonable. Yeah, but anyway, you just got to, all you can do is do your best research and like anything and go with it.
Yeah, and sometimes too, it's really tricky because the tricky thing now with social media is that one side of the story can be told without the other side of the story being told.
Yeah.
Take it with a grain of salt and always remember that there are many sides to every story.
Exactly, yeah.
And that also sometimes too, people can't share the whole story and they're worried about defamation or something like that later.
Well, that wraps up this one, guys. As we said, heap of Cape York content coming up where it's getting bloody hot at the moment. It's warming up. We're definitely further north in Queensland now.
I'm really nervous.
We're tackling the teletrack soon, but we did a heap of cool stuff getting up this far as well. All that's coming up in the next few weeks. Make sure you stick around, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, jump over to our website as well, all the gear we use, a lot of stories from the road. You can sign up to our newsletter there. That's where you get notified about giveaways and things we do as well.
Yeah, and let your friends know about this episode as well if you think it will help them.
Share it around.
Share it around, because the better educated we all are on our rights and responsibilities, the hopefully less problems we have on the road.
And like we said, we're not experts. Let's make it a discussion. Let's all jump in and share your stories as well. Share your experience, and if you know more about it than we do, let's have that conversation. That'd be a lot of value for everyone out there. And look forward to seeing you guys out on the road one day. But until next time, we'll see you next Sunday.
See you next Sunday, guys.
I think it's time for me to go burn all bridges. All I know, I got lost along the way. Fell between the foam, pulling stitches.